Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be discussing a few essential tips that can help you during your graduate school or medical school interview. Hopefully with your own preparation and these helpful tips, you'll be able to put yourself in the best position to succeed during your interview. So let's get started. First off, I'm going to give a little bit of a background on the virtual interview, the format, and then I'll discuss the 10 tips that I recommend. Even though a virtual interview is not done in person, it's still an opportunity for schools to get to know you. By getting an interview, schools have shown an interest in learning more about you, and the virtual interview is an opportunity for them to get to know you better and to see what you could provide to one another. Now, the virtual interview format is going to vary depending on the school you're applying to, and interviews can range from traditional one-on-one interviews to panel interviews to multiple mini interviews, and even asynchronous interviews, which are essentially done on your own with no interviewer on the other side. The important thing to know is that you'll most likely know the interview format in advance, so you'll be able to make the preparations you need to in order to be comfortable with that format. So now I'm going to discuss the tips that I feel can really help you succeed during your virtual interview. Tip number 1 to me is the most important, and it's practicing talking in front of your camera. A lot of us won't have very much experience talking anywhere from 30 minutes to a few hours in front of their camera, so it's absolutely essential that you try and practice this. Even if it's for a few minutes every day, just talk in front of your camera about anything. It could be about your goals, the things you want to accomplish, why you think you should be accepted into a certain school. Just practice talking in front of the camera. That's going to give you the confidence you need. It might seem weird at first, but it'll really put you in a position where you seem really comfortable and confident when you're talking to your interviewer. I'd also recommend having a practice run with a friend because they'll be able to give you good advice on how you're doing and how you're presenting yourself. So for tip number 2, I'd recommend knowing the answer to these 2 basic questions. And these are pretty common. You're going to hear these questions in most interviews. So the first one is tell me about yourself. And the second is why do you want to be a doctor or another profession that you may be interviewing for? So for question 1, tell me about yourself. I'd recommend having a little bit of a biography, who you are, your family, your aspirations, your hobbies, the kind of things that a conversation could be built on if the interviewer was interested. You want to give them something that they could potentially ask about and you could have a nice conversation about. Now for question 2, why do you want to be a doctor? This is really a difficult question and something that, takes a bit of thinking, but you want to be able to give at least one or a few reasons why you feel this is the path for you. Throughout your application cycle, I'm sure you've had the chance to consider this question, and now you got to be able to really put it into words and to really explain yourself confidently and show your interviewer that this is the path that's right for you. Next up, I'd recommend trying to find out more about your interviewer. So are they a professor? Are they a student? Are they someone who's graduated from the school? Are they a person on the admission staff? Even if you can't find out exactly who they are, having an idea of their role can be really beneficial to you because you'll know who you'll be talking to. You'll get a better idea of the atmosphere of the interview. No matter what, of course, you're going to have to conduct yourself professionally, but knowing who your interviewer is going to be can make a difference in how you prepare, the type of questions you're thinking of asking, that kind of thing. So the next tip is to always thank your interviewer before starting the interview and after finishing it. In a lot of instances, these interviewers are volunteering their own time in order to interview you, so it's really important that you show your appreciation and gratitude for them taking the time to speak with you. And this could play a really big difference in how they look at you and how they remember you. Now for tip number 5, I know this sounds a bit weird, but I'd recommend trying to make eye contact, and obviously since you're not in person, this really means looking into your webcam. And so you'll see if you ever try practicing talking in front of your webcam, your eyes will most likely stray towards yourself on your own screen. So what I'd recommend doing is minimizing your face on the screen to avoid looking away from your webcam. Now, I know this isn't really easy and it's completely normal for your eyes to stray towards yourself. It's just a common reaction, so don't worry about it too much. But the more you look into your webcam, the more you can give that idea to your interviewer that you're engaged and you're listening and you're really trying to conversate with them. So for tip number 6, I'd recommend making a tiny list of points you feel are essential to share about yourself. Now, this could be inequalities, experiences, goals you wish to talk about, things you feel are central to who you are, things that you'd really like to bring up during an interview. So write these on a small paper or a sticky note, look through them every now and then. If you like, you can even have them next to you while you're interviewing, just as long as they're out of sight, just so you're able to really get yourself across and make clear the key aspects of your application. So the next tip is to just have a professional background. And this is really common sense, but make sure there's not a lot going on in your background that it's not distracting to you or your interviewer. Blank wall is the safest option. It really just leaves no surprises and it plays everything safe. You don't want to take any unnecessary risks. So the next tip is to use an Ethernet cable if possible. Obviously, you'd like to have a stable connection during your interview, and this provides the best chance of that. If it's not possible, just make sure you're in a spot with good Wi-Fi. That way you could be confident and you can avoid unexpected lagging. My next tip really boils down to wearing pants. This might sound silly, but you never know what could happen. You don't want to have to get up and then accidentally show that you're wearing sweatpants or pajamas. Make sure you're dressing formally from head to toe. That way you could be confident in yourself and you could show that you're able to demonstrate the professionalism you're going to have to show in your future career. My last tip is to be yourself. Interviewers are really going to know when you're pretending to be something you're not. You should be confident in yourself and in your ability to connect with people. And so don't try to be something that you're not. The more genuine you are, they're going to appreciate it. If you have a funny side, don't be afraid to show it. Of course, you're always going to have to demonstrate professionalism, but don't let that stop you from being who you are and, maybe connecting the way that you do. As long as it's professional, you can be yourself, and that's really going to help you connect with your interviewer more. A lot of the time people are intimidated while interviewing, but what you really need to think about it is an opportunity to just explain who you are and explain what you hope to accomplish. It's important not to think about it too deeply, right? At the end of the day, it's just a conversation about yourself. And the more you're able to express yourself genuinely, the more the interviewer will appreciate it and the more they'll be able to connect with you. So keep that in mind. I hope these tips were helpful as you prepare for your virtual interview. If there's any questions I can help with, please leave them below. Thank you.